What's happening, people? What's happening, people? Welcome back to the channel. We've been away for a few weeks. Should I say, is it a couple of weeks or so? Obviously, one of it is due to availability. Parts of it is also technical issues. Hopefully, we don't have any today, but I want to try and be as consistent. So what? We're nearing towards the end of the year anyway. So hopefully, next year, new plans, and I'll try and make sure I'm as consistent as possible. We're all as consistent as possible in the new year. Hope everyone had a lovely Christmas. Hope your team didn't let you down on Boxing Day. Well, for some of us. And we're here to talk football, man. It's been a while. But first, before we get started, people, if you can please subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification to know whenever we upload. Click the like button and comment. If you have any questions for us, let us know. And if you have any thoughts on the weekend's game, let us know, man. Make sure you comment. I've got a Babe and Saeed here with me today. No, Akeem dropped out last minute. I think for once we like the first time we've been on there in a long while that United has actually played. Usually we're doing like a preview of United's games when we jump on here, but we have played and thankfully we won. Going into the game, what shall I say? I wasn't fearful. I know we've got a lot of injuries, but because Newcastle hasn't been they're not great themselves. So I thought that game could go either way. Yeah, they were capable of beating us, but at the same time, I thought we're capable of beating them because they haven't been great. And defensively, I think they've conceded quite a lot of goals this season, unlike previous season. They've got some injuries themselves defensively. So I wasn't fearful going into the game despite our injury list. I just didn't know what the setup was going to be. I didn't know how we were going to play. And I don't think I really cared how we played. Obviously, you always want your team to play well, but I just wanted the 3 points. So we haven't won in a while going into that game. Didn't get to watch the game, but didn't get to watch the game live, but I have watched extended highlights. I rewatched the game and saw that we played well in the first half and we were just holding on in the second half. But despite saying that, the keeper didn't really get worked in the second half, despite us holding on. The managers obviously made some suspicious substitution, taking off Casemiro as early as he did. And who else did he take off? I think he's just bringing on youngsters as well, which doesn't really help when you're trying to hold on, especially a team that has we're quite fragile in defense, right? So we're a team that struggles defensively, bringing in youngsters to see out the game is not ideal. But look, we saw it through, and I think that's what matters. And I think we deserve it because I think we have played one of the last couple of games. We haven't won those games. We drew to Bournemouth. I thought we played better. But overall in the game, I thought we played better than Bournemouth. And we should have killed the game off in that first half. We didn't win that. And then we played against Villa, which I thought once again we should have won. I think we totally dominated them for a lot of the period of the games, that really, even with like Bruno's injury and going into the second half. So I didn't really care that we didn't display the same sort of performance in those sort of game, but we still got the 3 points, and we needed the 3 points, especially being at home. So yeah, no, I'll take that, man. So I'm quite happy with that. We obviously at that point it took us 5th, but now we're 6th, level on points with the good old Chelsea. And yeah, look, we got Wolves next at home, so we'll see how that goes. But we'll go into a bit more in terms of like recent form. But what are your thoughts, Saeed, with the victory?
Do you know what? Like, as in you've rounded off all the negative points. I think like sometimes you've got to look at the positives. Positives being Martinez back in the back line for us. Haven having a great game, especially like in the first half and when he needs to be called in the second half. And yeah, like as in just us getting over the line. It was like it is a horrible watch. Second half especially was I was watching it. We were together actually, but I was watching it on my phone second half, and you're watching it, and like Newcastle just coming wave after wave of attack, and I can't imagine how it would have been in the stadium, like watching that kind of football in Old Trafford. But at the same time, come the end of the season, we're not going to remember the performance. We're going to remember the points on the board. So yeah, I just take the positives from the game. It's in a congested period as well, so like we've got a few games coming up. So like, yeah, you just want to take the points. Yeah, like as in, really would have loved if Sesko scored that goal. Like as in, yeah, he hit the bar in the second half. He needs to go for his confidence and just for the output that he's like all the work he's putting in. Yeah, just seeing Hall hit the crossbar as well in the second half. Like, yeah,
that was crazy.
Very touching goal. But they had quite a few opportunities. Like Gordon, I don't know. Like as in, he don't seem like he's on it as much as he has been in the past couple months.
Honestly, he saved all of his vim for Chelsea and then just went back to factory setting. I don't know what Chelsea did to him. It's like he just got all his energy up for us. He's like, I'm done now.
As I said, I'm just looking at the positives from it now because, as you said, Tom, like if you take it pound for pound before the game, player for player, you'll start worrying about that game, especially because we don't have Bruno available. But yeah, no, like the team did its thing, and yeah, I can't complain. We're gonna have performances like this where it's we're losing teams that we expect to beat, and we're beating teams where we don't expect to beat or don't expect to take all 3 points. So it's got to take the rough with the smooth in this kind of period. So, but it's good to see, like, as in Amarin changes tactics a bit as well. It's good. Like maybe that's going to be something that he's going to do for the players that are missing for the foreseeable future. But yeah, like, because I think that was another positive as well. Like just being a little more adaptable. Can't complain.
Yeah, he went to the back, isn't it? For that
game,
yeah, right?
Yeah. I think, like, obviously, it's like personnel wise as well. Like, as in that really kind of pushes hands. But yeah, like, as in if we didn't have if we only started with Ugarte and Casemiro in the middle, like, we don't really have any creativity in that midfield whatsoever. So yeah, like, you might have just had to get more people in the middle for a bit more creativity. And yeah, just looking at the chances, Dorgu's goal. Oh, what I'm talking about positives, I'm not even talking about Dorgu's first goal for United. Call blimey. Like, if you're gonna score a first goal for United, let it be something like that. And I can't remember who was behind him, but someone was behind him. Like, they wanted to line up the shot. Dorgu was like, "I'll handle. I'll take it from here, bottom hand corner." Yeah, like, yeah. But I'd say, yeah, just got to take them off of this move and can't complain with the victory.
In terms of, like, obviously him changing, like, the formation attack, it did change it. This was obviously the first time we changed it during the, like, Bournemouth game as well. It went 4-4-2 during Bournemouth game. I think when we went was it 2-1 down. He changed it during that, and then obviously changed it again. But I think, to make it clear, he's always said he's never said he weren't gonna change it, but he just said he will change it at his own time, really. And I think the media was pressuring him, despite because of the result that we were getting and wanted it to be changed. Look, he's changed it, and I think moving forward, I think he is going to change it. I think he made it. I think he said in order for him to play the perfect 3-5-3, he's going to need a lot more time, and it's going to be a lot of money would need to be spent, and he probably wouldn't have that privilege to get the time or the money to get the perfect 3-5-3. So especially about transfer window. Say again.
You got 12 players on the pitch for 3-5-3.
What you say?
You're gonna have 3-4-3.
I mean, it's 3-5-2. So I mean, what was I saying? 3-5. Yeah, 3-5-3. 3-5-3, isn't it? 3-5-3, isn't it?
Like he plays a
3-4-3. Yeah,
3-4-3. Yeah.
Yeah, 3-4-3. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you got usually Casemiro and Bruno, and then
are you trying to sneak an extra player?
I'm glad you're paying attention. It was a little tester.
So I've got 2
Wait,
questions. I've got 2 questions based on that.
Yeah, go on.
So, do you think you guys may have played better in that Newcastle game because you switched to the back? Basically, do you think you look more comfortable in the back 4? And then going off what you said earlier, if you feel like he didn't have the resources to play his 3-4-3, I have to check myself there after Tommy. If you didn't think he had the resources to play that formation, do you have maybe some element of criticism for him pursuing that formation, considering he said that he needs all of these things to be able to play that formation?
Let me go first on this.
No, I don't think criticism, because coming in as a coach, he may be promised certain things. Like they would have made it clear. He would have made it clear to them that this is the formation I want to play, and they would want to back him, right? But both the board and him would then have to come into the realization that, look, okay, cool, these are the risks. If we don't make Champions League football, we're not going to have much money to spend on so and so. And then he's now beginning to realize as well that, okay, maybe you might come in thinking I can utilize what I've got, but then quickly learning that these players are struggling to adjust to that, what I want to do. And I think one of the things he said as well is that I think that formation is more fundamental formation for the players to have a better understanding of how he wants to play as a manager. So he can always tweak it, but it's just, these are just the fundamentals. And it feels like if they can't do this, they won't be able to do anything else. So those are I'm just going off a lot of the things that he's saying in his press conference. So these, I think that's what he was referring to. So I don't think there's one thing being stubborn and knowing that, okay, something's not working, can I change it? And there's another thing, adapting and coming into the realization, okay, I might need to change it. So there's no harm in that. It's worse if you're being wrong and strong. But if you come into the realization that I might need to adapt, because one, the board might not be able to buy the players that I want, or I missed out on a few players that I want that I've decided to go elsewhere, like the Semenyo and those kind of things. So maybe I'm just gonna have to do with what I've got now.
Yeah, and I just wanted to give you the opportunity to provide that analysis, because I know a lot of people may just look at it very simply, saying 3 at the back, terrible, 4 at the back, good. Why did he take so long to do 4 at the back? So I wanted to give you the opportunity to say, it's not just that simple, I guess.
Yeah. The only thing I would say,
I mean, we also got to understand that we also got to understand that it is just one game, and we were pressured for the majority of the second half. So it wasn't defensive performance was better. They didn't work the keeper, but they could. Some other team would have punished us for that kind of performance. So I don't think it's as simple as that. It's just lazy analysis, just to pinpoint. Okay, yeah, we played 4 at the back. We kept a clean sheet, but we've been playing 5, and it hasn't been good enough. So it could have been totally different. So the football is about margins, in it, and then these margins change like topical conversation. If we conceded or we end up going to lose the game, it changes that conversation that we're having now. Changes the whole narrative. So and that's exactly what it's all about sometimes. But we need to play. If he does decide to go into like the back 4 consistently, we will need to obviously see how well that goes, and then we can maybe question, okay, maybe should have done this earlier if it does work for us. But it's only one game, so we have to wait and see. But and bearing in mind, he's only forced into these changes because of injuries as well. There's just also
I was going to say is I do appreciate the fact that he's sticking to his guns, and it seems like he wants to show them a way, like his way of playing, before introducing anything new or anything different to his system. And I do believe, as footballers, you should be able to be coached how to play football, right? A couple of managers have come in and haven't been able to do that with some of the players. Like most recently, Ten Hag wasn't able to get his way of playing. We didn't see his way of playing at United, for example, but we see him revert back to the 4-3-3, hit teams on the transition, which seemed to be our blueprint for the last couple of years, but it's not sustainable, right? So I do appreciate him in that kind of respect. But what I will say is that times where we needed points or times where we needed a win, for example, in the Europa League final, right? It would have been nice to see him have this flexibility as well. And that times throughout the last season where we could have, where we needed points and we were under a lot of pressure. Actually, last season, the Premier League games, I wouldn't even be too pressed about, but it's like the Europa League final, it would have been good to see some sort of flexibility 15, 20, 30 minutes to go, especially when the game weren't really going anywhere. Like Tottenham weren't really doing much. We weren't really doing much either. And the whole thing about United, like, is ever since I've been watching United, last 15, 20 minutes, you throw the kitchen sink at it. Like, we literally just go everyone that is attacking, and we don't really care for not trying to attack. But in that final, we didn't see it that much. So it's games like that, you do kind of hope in the future that he's going to adapt more so like he has in past couple of games. But yeah, I guess it will time will tell.
And just off the back of that, side, in terms of like our next few games are quite favourable, but you know what United is like, so I'm not going to say that. We've got Wolves at home, then Leeds and Burnley, and then Brighton away. I think we've got 3 away games.
Or 3 home.
How do you think we get? How do
Yeah,
you think
so
we
like
get on
in terms of
with
Wolves and Burnley? Yeah, fair enough. In terms of Wolves and Burnley, I expect us to get 4 points from them. Actually, let me take that back. I don't expect nothing from United anymore, but I'll give 6 points on the board for them. Leeds, I think, is going to be a trickier opposition because they're going to run that, and they make sure they run throughout their games, innit? And teams that work hard against us have like half a advantage in that kind of respect. So I don't think Leeds will be like so straightforward, but with the rivalry and everything else, like you expect, like we would think that we can beat them. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's on form right now, isn't it? And do you know what? Like, we haven't played many form teams recently either. That's the other thing about it. So a lot of teams we're playing are just kind of out of form. Newcastle, for example, Bournemouth, even Villa. When we played them,
Villa's on form.
Well, they're on form, but like I said, they're not. The last 2 games, they haven't really been putting on like.
No, Villa's won like 10 in a row. There's not a better on form team than
They're
Villa.
because of the results, but they're playing like against us, against Chelsea. Like they literally played half an hour against Chelsea, and they played what like like as in they're like against us. But I'm not taking away from Villa. Like there we go. But anyway, like
the last Villa are the form team. So
Anyway, but even if you look at even before that, like as in the West Hams, the Crystal Palace, like we played them at that time. So like there's a lot of teams that we played out of form. I think Leeds are in form, and so it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. I don't think it's going to be straightforward. But yeah, the other 2, and then Brighton's FA Cup, isn't it? So yeah, that could be anything. But and all those 4 games actually are without. I don't think Bruno will be about for those 4 games. So it'll be interesting to see where the creativity comes from. But yeah, like as in out of those, I do expect like 6 points and at least at minimum 6 points, and then see what we do in FA Cup with Brighton. That'll be a bit tricky, innit? Well, after that, we've got a couple tricky games after that as well. So yeah, we just need as many points on the board as possible. So yeah.
Cool. Fair. Look, we'll see how we get on, man. Look, on paper there are teams that we should be beating, but having said that, Leeds, as you said, Leeds has been on the team. They've been on form recently, so it'll be going away to Leeds, knowing that it's some sort of derby. It's not a derby, but it's one of those derby that we have. We've got a rivalry against Leeds, so that will be a tricky game going away from home. Wolves, we should hope that we can beat Wolves at home, and we should hope that we can beat Burnley away. And where I would love to just start creating a gap between like top 6 to like 8th to 10th position. I would love to start creating some sort of gap, because what you don't want is once the gaps start getting created, you don't want to be on the other side of things. And we were saying the same if you look at like the top 3 now. I mean, there was only like 5-6 points I was separating 5th to 10th like a few weeks ago. Now Villa and City has created a gap already. So I don't want the next setup like 4th to 6th. I don't want the next set of gaps to start creating, and then we're on the other side of that fence. So I would love, when we do create that gap, for us to be one of the top 5 or top 6 teams that's competing for top 5. So we'll see how we get on, man. We'll definitely see. Look, just on, we'll part United to the side for now. I'm going to ask you, Abib, because this Saeed brought this up a while ago, and he brought it up again on Saturday. So I'm just going to ask you. Actually, wait, before I ask you, I want him to explain what he means by this. So you saying that Eddie Howe should be under pressure, but what do you mean by that? What does that mean?
All right, cool. I'll start off by saying I'll start off by saying I like Eddie Howe as a manager, right? Like what he's done for Newcastle in the last couple of years, amazing. What he does for their players, how he coaches players and all sorts, amazing. That's the baseline, right? In terms of results this season, are they like 12th right now? Where are they sitting right now? 12th, something like that, isn't it?
I think so.
Oh, yeah, like they're like as in just about like they're not where they should
in the
be.
bottom half, at least in the bottom half.
Yeah. What like some of the results that they're getting this season?
14th at the moment.
14th,
Wow.
there we go. So some of their results they're getting this season aren't on par with where Newcastle trajectory should be. They've lost games. Yes, they're in the Champions League as well. They have spent money this season. They didn't get all the players they wanted, granted, but they have spent their money this season. There is a cap to how much they can spend as well. Their owners are will be sitting there thinking this isn't going to plan right now, isn't it? So it's from that perspective, I'm saying like if this was another manager in another team, they'll be saying that he's under pressure. Like we've had Amrin talk about being under pressure, about being under pressure. They've got more points than Newcastle right now, and maybe Frank might be a better comparison because they're in the Champions League right now, so they've got this same kind of pressures. So it's like, yes, I love what he's doing in the club, and like you can't take that away from him. But in terms of how football is nowadays, should he not be under pressure?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and to be honest, I do agree in the sense of, so there's two things. There's two things of saying, should someone be under pressure? And I think pressure comes when you're not doing what's expected of you. Now, just because someone is under pressure because they're not doing what they're expected of them, doesn't mean that anyone in their right mind thinks they should be sacked. Because if anyone's got credit in the bank, it's Eddie Howe. He took them from obviously relegation candidates to top 4, top 3 finishes multiple times. However, he's raised the standard now. They're a Champions League team. They're getting top 4. So you can't be a team that's in Champions League and then be lingering in 14th at Christmas and not expect there to be some sort of pressure. And by pressure, we're not saying, oh, get him out, he deserves to be sacked. It's more like you're raising an eyebrow and saying, what's going on over here? Things don't look like they're going too well. Do you get what I mean? So I think I understand what side's coming from, but I'm guessing you still doesn't mean any way he should be sacked because he's got so much credit in the bank. So he's got credit in the bank, but at the same time, the pressure comes from you expect him and the team to be doing better, because if you look at their squad and the amount of money they spent, I'm sure it's much better than a lot of the teams that are above them, right? So I think that's where side's coming from. So I do kind of agree, but I'd be interested to hear your viewpoint on the other side.
Just another point before I do say like so there's a pressure or pressure in the inverted commas that might come from like the perspective of the board, but then also pressure that you think about their fans as well. Like they've played games where they've like played like the inverted I mean they're playing with the handbrake, for example, let's say, like, or they're playing like when they played against Newcastle, they hardly had any shots. They weren't in the game as much as they should be. So those kind of games, like the fans won't forgive, if you get what I'm saying. So,
Oh, you mean against Sunderland?
yeah, when they play Sunderland, like
Yeah.
it's not even the fact that they lost, but like as in how they lost that kind of game.
Yeah.
Like they've been in the Champions League where, like as in they were leading, they lost like Leeds in the Champions League as well. Like ended up drawing or losing the game. Like it's those kind of games that like you have to look at and question. Like, and you are right. That's what I mean. I'm not saying he should be sacked, but I'm saying he should be questioned, isn't it? So
Yeah.
Go on, Tom.
Yeah, no, I disagree with it. I don't really care whether it's pressure for him being sacked or not being sacked. I think, and I believe touched on the points that I was going to say, is that where he's brought them from when you're fighting relegation, and they are mitigating circumstances, and you also got to understand that. And if they are, and I don't think this, I know you mentioned the fans, I honestly don't think that, like, yeah, you can say they didn't give enough effort in that Sunderland game, whatever. Bro, Sunderland's been unbeaten at home all season. Arsenal's gone there. A lot of teams have gone there that haven't been able to beat Sunderland. It's not as if like Sunderland smashed them 5-6-0 or something. It's 1-0. Like Sunderland didn't beat Newcastle in how many years? I'm sure like they can get their get back at St James's. If someone's a manager that you was about to get relegated, now taking you to the Champions League twice, you ain't won a trophy in what 50, 60 years or however how many years. And given the mitigating circumstances that's happened this summer where you've lost your best player, you haven't been able to plan because the players that you gone, that like the managers can't just work magic with a click of a finger. If you've been working with a certain striker for how long and you didn't think, and the board has told you that he's not going to go, and you didn't think he's going to go, and all of a sudden he's now gone, you're going to have to adjust how you play, and that will take time. Players like Jacob Murphy, like he's used to finding a striker, crossing the ball in all the time. Or Gordon, we talked about Anthony Gordon not being in his current form. They're used to playing, linking with Isak. There's certain spaces that they pick up, or certain spaces Isak picks up that they expect Isak to be at. A lot of those change because that's how important that he is to the team. So it's not about just Voldemort might get goals, but is he bringing others in play like as
a manager, this way you earn your keep. Like,
what I'm saying, if you earn it, it's more than earn his kit. He's more than he's won them the trophy. But I'm saying is, it's not at the end of the world. They played how many games? Yes, they're 14th, but 14th is 6. They're 6 points away from 5th place. It's not like it's just a little 6 points. They beat United. They'll be 3 points behind United. They're 6 points away from 6th place. It's not the end of the world. They're still doing well in the Champions League. They're playing in the Champions League. They're in a good. It's not as if they're playing bad in the Champions League and bad in the league as well. They're in a good position in the Champions League, in a good position to qualify for the next round. And on top of that, the players that they brought in, Weiser's only just fit. They only had one striker that they've been using. They started the season without a proper striker. They started the season without having a striker. They didn't even score much goal at the beginning of the season because they didn't have a striker. They had to wait for Walter to get in form. So it's like they are mitigating circumstances. Then they got injuries at the back galore. Like Newcastle don't normally concede goals like this. So if you are watching it as a fan, like you can easily say, yeah, if you want to be that fan, like a West Ham fan that think you deserve better than this, then be careful what you wish for. As you said, I know you're saying not saying to sack him, but just be careful what you wish for. West Ham are struggling from them wishing that they should be doing better, because Moyes taking them top 6 2 to 3 times, won them the Conference League, and I feel like they can be doing better. Now they might get relegated, so you be careful what you wish for. Like it just needs a bit more time. Like when I don't think is any harm a manager going through struggles during the season. It doesn't. They don't necessarily have to be under pressure because they're trying to find a way or they're adjusting during the course of the season. It doesn't necessarily mean have to be pressure, especially someone that's got money in the bank. When Klopp was struggling, yeah, Liverpool should be doing better, but you're still going to give him time to adjust and do what he needs to do. The same thing with Pep last season. Yeah, they should be doing better because the team ahead of them shouldn't be ahead of them. But you're going to give them time to do what they need to do. You know, Emery, They was bottom 3, top 5. They didn't score a goal. What, the first 5, 6 games, whatever it was. The issue be, but he's still. Sometimes you just got to let those manager do what they got. I'm not saying they're gonna end up doing great this season, but I'm saying I don't think it should be any talk of pressure. I think you can, if you look at things holistically, you should have an understanding to see what's happening there. To have an understanding to see what you had to go through in the summer. It's like, even if it doesn't go, even if it's not like, there's players there. Even if you're saying they spent money, the players there, it's taken a toll on the whole team. He's messed up the whole preseason plan. What they have to go through. And on top of that, don't forget, he also had to do an operation or something like that at the beginning of the season when he missed a couple games. There's a lot going on there. So let's look at things holistically and before we start saying, the man, I don't agree with it. Like, if you don't end up doing well, it is what it is. But just be careful. I don't think Newcastle fans are going to be like that anyway, because I haven't heard a beat from Newcastle fans. But I just don't think we should start labeling the word pressure next to Eddie Howe because he's going through a moment. It's football, bro. You like, everyone's not going to do well. You're in a competitive league. Everybody's beating each other in this league. Everyone's beating each other. It's as simple as that.
Go ahead, Saeed. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think you kind of like supported by talk about Aston Villa. Aston Villa couldn't bring anyone in. Like, they had financial restraints, so they couldn't bring anyone in. They had a.
But they still spent money.
But so did Newcastle though. Newcastle still spent monny.
But Newcastle only spent money because they sold player. That Newcastle wouldn't be able to buy that player because if they didn't sell. Look over the season, Newcastle are having to sell to buy players in. They only brought players. The players are bringing in a replacement. What are you talking about? But Villa's got a steady team as well.
Aston Villa couldn't sell, like, their wage bill was so high. Like, I think, what is it? Like, I can't.
But did Villa go through what I'm saying? Did Villa go through what they had to go? Did Villa lose their best player? They didn't. Villa didn't lose their best player.
They lost players they had.
Watkins left. If Watkins left, it's different. Villa kept Watkins and Rodgers. They kept the core of their team.
To play devil's advocate, they did lose Rashford and Asensio just to play devil's advocate.
Last season, they still lost the Donny who was banging and goals for them as well.
That was a champion. They were pushing. They were loan players. They're not permanent players. They're loan players. Asensio, they were loan players. Those players only came in January to help them out because they were struggling with numbers. They're not permanent players, so they knew they would accommodate for that. They would have known that these players are not staying. They couldn't even afford Rashford. They were loan players, so they knew what was going to happen. Rashford wasn't going to stay there. Like, I don't think, and the quality of players they've got there, the depth they've got there, I don't think you can compare it with like Newcastle's forward line. They need a new forward line. Callum Wilson left. Yes, he didn't want to stay. Thingy left. Isak left. It's totally different. They've got injuries as well. It's totally different. Yeah, Villa are doing well. I'm not saying Villa are not doing well, but they're having a moment. Newcastle are having a moment, and that's all it is. Like, this on top of that, they're only 6 points. You know what? How quick things can change in football. When Villa where were they? Like, look at Liverpool now. Look how bad Liverpool were. Liverpool are fourth now. Teams have moments. Like, they're 6 points behind fifth place. It's not the end of the world. The Champions League places, and this is the problem. And their spend is still not good enough. I know you're saying the spend. The spend is only like a replacement of players. They're in the Champions League. They should be spending more than that. The depth needs to be bigger than this. Like, you can't expect them to compete with all these other teams. When look at Chelsea's depth. Can you compare Chelsea or Arsenal, Man City's depth, or all these players' depth to? You can't compare it to what Newcastle's depth. Like, their spend is not good enough. They should be spending more for a team that's playing in the Champions League. If you expect them to compete in both front, you got to do better for them. They're having to sell the young players because they have to meet financial fair play. Look at Anderson. Look what Anderson has become. They had to sell him because they need to meet fair play. They had to sell Thingy. You know what I mean? So it's a lot. They're going through a lot. So as I said, look, I don't. If they wanna put him under pressure, just be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm saying. And West Ham is a perfect example. If you want to use Villa as a good example, West Ham is another perfect example for you. And you can talk about the same thing with Nottingham Forest. How much money did they spend? How much money did Nottingham Forest spend? It's just be careful what you wish for. It is what it is. They're not fighting relegation. Should they be fighting relegation with the amount of money they spent? It's just how football works. We're in a competitive league. Let's just put it as that anyone can beat each other.
But I think I agree with you. I think there's two things here. There's having the opinion. There's agreeing of whether he should be put under pressure. And I think we can all agree that he shouldn't be put under pressure. But then there's understanding why people might think he should be put under pressure. So whilst I may understand why some people might put him under pressure, I disagree with the fact that he should be for all of the reasons you said. There's mitigating circumstances. And even if there wasn't any mitigating circumstances, he's got a bunch of credit in the bank. However, we know with this Premier League, it's mad competitive, right? Look, like you just said of Liverpool, right? A few weeks ago, Arne Slot was under crazy pressure. Now he puts in a few wins, and now no one's speaking his name. Last season, Guardiola, he's won like 4 trophies in a row, and then he goes on a bit of a blip, and then the media start putting pressure on him. All of a sudden, he's challenging for the title again, right? So that's why, in a sense, I agree that you shouldn't be putting pressure on these guys. Like, they're just having a blip. However, I can understand it because people have been put under pressure for less. Do you get what I mean? Which is why
I can't understand it. I can't lie to you. I can't understand it. I just can't. For me personally, I can't. I can't comprehend why people will have that sort of feeling. That's just me personally, but I'm not. I get you guys' argument, but I'm just saying, if you look at things holistically and see what they've gone through, I can't understand it. And the good thing for me is why, and I stick by it. I haven't heard any Newcastle fans pop up. If Newcastle, like I listen to Talk Sports a lot, if Newcastle fans are popping up and saying stuff like this, then I'll say the world has gone mad. But thankfully enough, I'm guessing they have a level of understanding to realize, okay, you know what? We've had a lot going on. Like, it may take us a bit of time to find our feet again. And the thing about Newcastle players is, and Newcastle when they play is that they always work their arse off. So they don't cheat the game. They don't walk around the pitch. You know what I'm saying? You always know that they're giving the effort. At the moment, tactically, they just ain't getting things right. Do you know what I mean? They're strong to put the ball at the back of the net, and the ball is obviously conceding goals. Tactically, he just hasn't figured that out. Even he got caught out again on Friday against United. So tactically, like the managers, you can put your hands up. I'm sure he's gonna put his hand up like, you know what? I got it wrong. Like, I haven't been able to figure things out with these players, because while a lot of people had a whole summer to sort it out, I was trying to sort other stuff. I didn't know what player I was gonna have throughout the whole summer. So there's a lot into it. And on top of that, they got Champions League to focus on. It doesn't really have much time. So it's not the end of the world, because they're only 6 points behind Champions League position, as I said. So for me personally, I can't. Like, and this is not to say that they may not end up having a bad season, but I'm just saying that I just think it's just far too early to even be putting them such pressure. They're playing twice a week. They've had a lot of games to play. Teams are struggling. You can see by the league. You can see how everyone's positioned in the league, that it's not just them. A lot of people are struggling. Obviously, Villa's gone on like a great run, but is that really sustainable? And we're going to talk about that today as well with Villa. See, like, how far can they really take it? Because if we'll see anyway. Like I said, we'll talk about that in a bit. I don't want us to jump into Villa, but they've been on a great form. Arsenal slowed down. Man City is obviously now picking back form again. So it's like there's a lot into it. But yeah, for me, nah, not Eddie Howe. Not now anyway, man.
But I think we can all at the very least agree that he shouldn't be under pressure. I think that's one thing we can all agree on.
Yeah.
See, my thing, I
Yeah,
agree with
yeah,
that.
I agree with that.
Questions are there. That's for me.
Yeah, no. All right, cool. Let's just move on from that. We agree to disagree on that point. Before we go into the title race, since we have you here, Mr. Chelsea, it's been you guys haven't been on the greatest run for the last few weeks. Who did you beat last? Who was your
It was the last team you beat when you was on the pod. Is that the last time you spoke?
No, relax. We beat Everton, guys. Calm down.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh yeah, you beat Everton at home. You beat Everton at home, and you beat Cardiff in a Carabao Cup. But aside from those two, so in the league, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you've won once in 6 games. So you drew from Arsenal. You drew against Arsenal, lost to Leeds, then drew to Bournemouth, beat Everton, drew to Newcastle, and then lost to Villa. So 1 in 6. How are you feeling? First of all, let's go into the Villa game, because your Villa game shaped out pretty much like our Villa game in a sense. But if anything, I think we did a bit better because we didn't fade out in the second half. United just didn't get a point in the second half. And I think for me personally, I'll get your thoughts on this. I don't think Villa made their sub and they scored their goal. But I don't think that changed the game. I think it's that Cole Palmer sub that changed the game for me. Like the sub that you guys made, I just didn't think he had up, especially Palmer. I thought he might not got a goal, but I thought he played well in that game because he took a lot of pressure off you guys on the ball. If you needed someone that was good on the ball to take pressure off your team when you was on the cush against Villa, it would have been him. I didn't feel like they did. I thought Villa didn't think they're worried about much going forward since you took him off. And there was more keen to step forward and put pressure on you guys. But I think that's when the game changed for me, really. I don't think it was more... Yeah, the goal changed the dynamic of the game. Yeah, it came 1-1. But what did you think of the whole game? Because yourself...
So I agree in parts with what you said. For me personally, I do think the goal did change the game. Even, to be honest, just slightly before the goal, they had a lot of momentum. They were creating a lot of chances and they put us under pressure. Where I do agree with you is in the sense, even though the momentum switched, having someone like a Cole Palmer would have probably helped us to calm things down. Whereas when he was gone, there was basically no outlet. Like that Brock Lesnar wrestler, he didn't provide anything for us really. Gittins, he just looks mad raw. Esteval just come out from injury, and even still, like the guy's only 18, right? There's only so much you can expect from him, really. So without Palmer, it didn't look like Villa didn't have anything to worry about, really. So they can just keep on putting the pressure on without worrying about us changing the momentum anytime soon. And so just to break down the game, the first half, we was in complete control. Like Villa didn't have an absolute sniff. You would have thought Villa were Wolves, right? You would never have thought they were fighting for the league the way they were playing in that first half. But unfortunately, I guess this is where the discourse has come, especially with a lot of Chelsea fans, in the sense of you're on top, you're creating chances, you're dominating the game. This is where you need to bury the game. And this isn't the first time this has happened. Even if you look at, for example, the Tottenham match where Chelsea won 1-0, we completely dominated the game. Like Tottenham didn't have a sniff yet. How are you only winning that game 1-0? This is the Premier League. If you're on top, you need to take your chances, because as seen in the second half, in just a dime, the momentum can swing and then you're under the cosh. And the second thing is, if you don't have the players to kill the game off, you need the players and the experience and know-how to be able to control the game, handle the game, manage that change of momentum, keep everyone calm. And this is where you see the manager at the start of the season, he was literally crying out for a centre-back, because our two best centre-backs are Fofana, and Colwill. If you look at our run, most of the games that we've won, or at least gotten a decent result in that run, were with Fofana and Chalobah as the two defensive partnerships. You take Fofana out, that whole back four looks very, very shaky. So it shows the impact of what a good centre back can do. But Fofana, he's obviously still quite injury plagued. So we need to manage his minutes. He can't play too many games in a row. And when Colwill comes back, they're going to have to do the same thing again. So you can see why Maresca was crying out for another centre back. But he's trying to make the most with what he's got. And if you look at the games, we're controlling the games. We've got a good game plan. We're getting players into dangerous positions, but it's just we don't have the players, unfortunately, to capitalize on that. I think I understand having that young, experienced, that young player approach in the sense of you want to get that up and coming gems, but at the same time, you need to have the balance and mix it with experience, right? If you look at Arsenal, they had that initial approach of just young players bringing it through. But look how long they struggled for until all of those players kind of got up to par. And then once all those players got up to par, then they're slamming at home with their Declan Rices, all of these top level players to keep at that level, right? And I think, let's say you swap Garnacho with a guy like Semenyo and he's starting, how much more of an impact he can have in those 1v1 situations to put goals away. And then Garnacho, he tends to do his best work off the bench, to be honest, against tired legs. So if things aren't going well, then you can bring on a Garnacho and have an impact like that. So it's a frustrating one because I don't think in all of the games we're playing terrible, but it's just sometimes just that know-how, that lack of experience that kind of costs us in games. And unfortunately, that's what's going to happen when you have a lot of inexperienced players. And I can't lie, it's not even about inexperience. Sometimes you just have that extra quality as well. If you just have that extra quality in the final third to take advantage of your chances, it can change the game. But you know what? Fair play to Villa, right? They held in when they were under the cosh and they just kept it at 1-0, which is the most important thing. And then when your football is a game of momentum, so when the momentum swings in your favor, if you just held on to that just one goal deficit, when the momentum's in your favor, they took full on advantage of it. I don't know what it is about Chelsea that players just come on the pitch and it's like someone's like stole their lunch money. Like first Anthony Gordon from Newcastle, now Ollie Watkins. I'm thinking like, bro, what happened? Like what? Has he got some secret vendetta against Chelsea? I don't know, but you know what? It's crazy. Fair play to them, man. Fair play to them. They got their win, but I know we're probably going to discuss this later, so I don't want to go too into it. But I don't think they can play like this and it can be sustainable, right? You can't keep snatching wins and expect that to last the course. You saw it Liverpool at the start of the season where they kept on snatching wins and then all of a sudden they went on a mad losing streak. But for now, you know what? Let them enjoy their little moment. And yeah, but yeah, what can I say, man? It was a bad loss, unfortunately.
What you? Wait, let me ask a neutral person first. Sai, what would you put it down to? Like their run of forms, would it be more the manager or more the players? Like Abib alluded to in terms of like having a bit more quality. Like, make for example, like you said, I'm not going to use a Garnacho one. Maybe let's say by Osman instead of like a Palmer or João Pedro or a more experienced centre back. I'm not sure. You know, you guys give me an experienced centre back that got bought in the summer. I'm not too sure, but buying a more experienced centre back rather than Atoll that they bought. What would you put it down to? Side the manager or players?
You know, I think the manager's actually done well with with his tools so far. Like I said it, like we spoke about this when Chelsea were in the title race. I said the reason why they're not going to win is because when I said young players, I didn't mean about their quality. I just meant about their inexperience in the team, right? And I feel like Chelsea had them in the Aston Villa in a chokehold. Like literally, all you had to do was get your second goal and literally bury the game. But you don't have enough players who have the experience. Like if you had the experience, Shaq, for example, he's taking that ball in and around the box and getting the shots off where you guys were catching and cycling the ball, whatnot, or if you have like an experienced centre back, like I feel one thing I will say is I feel like, well, I would like to think that it was a master stroke by Unai Emery keeping Ollie Watkins on the bench, right? Because Marlon, no change out of your centre backs for the first 60 minutes or however long it was, right? But Ollie Watkins coming on a bit of tired legs, like he was just told to run it behind, right? And your centre backs were struggling with that kind of thing, innit? So, but like as in, yeah, just a bit of experience to deal with that kind of situation, like knowing that they want to set Ollie Watkins off. You've seen Ollie Watkins play, like as in he's going to keep defenders honest, right? So having a bit of experience in around there, yeah, I just think it's the experience more than the manager, because like the way Chelsea play, their general setup is actually quite a good setup in a lot of the games, and a lot of the games that you play, like as in you'll feel that like as in you've got a very good chance of winning. So I don't think it's anything to do with the manager. I just think it's what he's got at disposal. Yeah. No.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it will be more. I don't think it's nothing to do with the manager, and I hope and I know unlike what we were saying about Newcastle fans not calling for Eddie Howe's head, Chelsea fans are calling for Maresca's head, which, like I just said, if you look at it, it's not so much him in terms of like the setup. There's only certain things that the manager can do. The manager can't hit the ball into the back of the net for these players, bro. Like once you had the opportunity in the first half, you got to take advantage of it. It's pretty much as simple as that. Even in the second half, I don't think the game was done, but I thought you did change too much. Whether you can blame that on the manager. Obviously, the manager wasn't a touchdown. I'm sure we would have had some sort of input on that. I just thought he changed too much, and you changed.
The initial changes were, what was it, Cucurella and Palmer, and even I saw straight after the game, a lot of people online were having like a lot of hate, saying, like, "Oh, Maresca and these stupid substitutions. Why would he do that?" But then, if you listen to his press conference afterwards, he said he took off Cucurella because he had a hamstring issue, and Cucurella literally asked himself to come off. And then Palmer, obviously, he still just come back, and they're managing his minutes. And there's another game apparently in a few days that he wants him to be fit for. So that's the reason why he took off Palmer when he did.
But he did say Palmer can play, but at the same time, he was the same manager that said Palmer can now play 90 minutes. No one asked him to say that. So he said that previously. So I honestly thought Palmer could have played. I thought Palmer had a good game. Yeah, he didn't have his best game, but I thought what he did, he kept the defense honest. So I'm saying, and when he came off, the rest couldn't do that. Pedro dropped back into his position. Pedro is not going to provide the same threat Palmer provides. Same thing when Gittins came on, he didn't really have much input in the game. Same thing with what was it? It was up top again with the striker that played came on. Delap, Delap just didn't do much. So he made and that's the difference sometimes with like the quality of the depth, and I don't know what the philosophy that your board have. I'm guessing at the moment they're turning your club into like a selling club, like or kind of like a Ajax in a sense, where come and develop players and then we'll sell them on. We go back and buy young players again, but you are in a good position. You've got a solid team, so I think it's time to start adding experience and quality into that to get you competing week in, week out. Because I think what this team does is you're going to always compete, but it's not going to be consistent enough. You're going to compete in terms of like games that you play when you play the top teams because you have good players, good young players, but it's not going to be consistent. And that's what we're finding out, because 1 in 6 is not great. Going obviously after the performance against Arsenal, then going to Leeds to lose, it's not great. And that's where you're going to find yourself. I don't think much of this is going to change. I think it is going to be similar pretty much during the course of the season. You are going to find your team being inconsistent because of the personnel you have in the team. You're not far away at all. If anything, I'd rather be in your position than United's position. But if you're not the difference is, I'm sure if United was in your position, I do think we will go for the kill. We'll start add more quality. We are able to attract better. You are able to attract players, but you just don't seem to want to do it. So
I'll be dead honest. Part of me thinks United starting 11 might be better than Chelsea starting 11. To be honest.
Oh, you reckon?
You guys have got some good players: Sesko, Cunha, Mbuemo, Casemiro, Diallo. You guys have got
forward
some
line
good
is. I would say our forward line is.
Even the defense, sure.
Apart from Palmer. No, I think defensively and midfield, I think
your midfield kills it.
Sure.
It's just the midfield. For me.
I think you definitely got one of the best midfielders in the league anyway. So, so I'm not too sure whether our forward line is. I definitely like our forward line. I'm not gonna lie to you. We can still improve on it, but I like what I've seen from them this season. But
the thing is, like, we do have some talented players, but the thing is, if you want to just keep bringing talented players and you can't expect anything in the short term, it's going to take a while. Like, for example, players like Gittins, you can see he's got raw ability, but you can still see like there's a lot of aspects in this game that need to be coached. Same with Esteval, same with a lot of these players, right? And it just depends on what approach you want. But the thing is, there's such a high turnover in players that it kind of makes the strategy make no sense, because you buy a young player with the goal to develop him, but then you're flipping players every summer and then you're buying like another 5 to 10 players again. So it's like, okay, you've gone through that 1 year of less developmental. Now let's add a sprinkle of experience on there. And then you sell the developmental players who didn't cut it, and then you buy a new set of developmental players, and then it's just going to be the same thing over and over again. I feel like if you look at a team's transfer policy and they've had such a high turnover in players year after year, it shows that you're not getting the transfers right that you bring in. So it's something to be looked upon.
Okay. Look, going into the halfway of the season now, where do you think we're pretty much halfway? I think 18 games we play now, so the next game will make it halfway. Where are you expecting Chelsea to finish?
No, the title dreams are gone now, unfortunately. that was a nice one.
You can still dream. There's no harm in dreaming. You just know that dream was not going to come true. There's no harm in dreaming.
I want to dream, but they're making it hard when they keep dropping points. They don't even let me dream, unfortunately. That 1 week when we drew against Arsenal, beat Barcelona, I'll never forget it. But in terms of what's actually realistic, I think now the title's basically gone. Obviously, the gaps were way too big. And even if it wasn't that big, I don't trust us to be consistent enough to compete with these teams. Look, they go Arsenal, City, they're going on 10-match winning runs or whatever, right? So we're not going to catch up with them.
Yeah.
Top 4 is definitely more than achievable, because at least with top 4, the teams around you end up being inconsistent, and top 4 just ends up being who messes up the least rather than who's the best team, right? So I think top 4's got to be the aim, unfortunately. And then it's just looking in the cups. So if we can sneak maybe a cheeky Carabao Cup in there, have a deep run in Champions League. Because one thing about us, for as much as, okay, cool, like they have our criticisms in there in terms of being consistent, in a one-off game, I do think we can beat anyone and we can take it to anyone. So there's no reason why we can't go on a deep run in the Champions League. I mean, we are the world champions. So if anything, the Champions League is just a subset of that. So it should be pretty easy, in fairness. But yeah, secure top 4 and just have a decent run in the cups is probably all we can expect now.
Okay, cool. All right, look, on the topic of Villa, just one word answer. We go into like reasons. Do you think they can win the league? Yes or no? I say no.
No.
I'll say yes. Let them win the league.
I mean, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. But
start with Arsenal.
Yeah. I think you've already touched on it already, Abib. I just don't think. Like, I know they've gone on a great run, but not all the performance has been great. I think the performance against Arsenal has been great.
They struggled to even beat Wolves.
But at the same time, Arsenal still had moments in that. Arsenal had moments in that game. The performance against Wolves ain't been great. The performance against us ain't great. So look, they have it great, and that's why I don't think it's going to be sustainable.
Can I just say though, like, if you're talking about performances though, right? Like Man City didn't have a great performance on the weekend, like as in this time around. Arsenal have not had great performances. They're scraping like 1-0 victories here and there. Yes, we expect those teams that they have it.
I won't finish though, but it wasn't just performance. But I'm just starting off with just performance. The performance ain't just been great. So I didn't just start. But the performance ain't been great. Just watching their game in detail, they don't have much width. And one thing, like when we played them, one thing I saw is that if you pack the middle of the park, they struggle to get into the game when you pack the middle of the park. And same thing with Chelsea. Once you take that middle of the pitch away from them, they struggle to get into the game. And on top of that, once Europa League starts back up again, they don't have enough depth. It's like, I think they've currently got majority of the team now. They might have 1 or 2 defensive injuries. Once Europa League, they don't have the same depth. They can't bring out the same quality like that City and Arsenal can bring off the bench. They don't have that. And I just think they will struggle. Like I know, and I'll still go back to the performance. I know you're talking about performance, but you can say Arsenal didn't have a great performance in one game, or City in every odd game, but they still have control games. They don't lose control games the way they lost control games. There's no way I see Arsenal and City losing control of the game the way them guys did, what we did to them. Or it's just those kind of things just don't happen for like long period of time. Or the game, like you just don't see that. They couldn't even string passes together, and they don't have the same quality as those teams as well. So, and they're not used to winning games. Like when it will be great time, great period of the season where you play midweek in your Europa League, wherever it is, and you expect to play on the weekend. A tough team at Arsenal or someone away, they're not equipped for that. They're just not equipped for that, and not especially with the performances. Because I said, even if like, let's say out of 10 games or whatever games that they went unbeaten for, I mean they've won in a row, and I thought 70 or 8% of those, or 90% of the performance was great. It hasn't been like, you can say 50 or 60 performance. They have one. I don't want to take anything away from them, because if I was in their position, I wouldn't care how these games are win. I would just go with it. But if you want to win the league, there's got to have to be something with it, and they haven't been able to do that. So for me personally, look, like nothing is impossible at the end of the day. But I don't think they beat Arsenal away from home. I think they'll be lucky if they get a draw away from away from home. It's not impossible, but I honestly think they will be lucky if they can get it.
I think Cash.
What do you say?
I think Cash and
Cash. Cash is in and Camera's out. And I said with them stacking the middle of the park, they rely on the wing backs. I mean the fullbacks a lot, and with Cash being injured as well, I don't really see them getting something against Arsenal.
I mean, that means
give you something. Don't worry, you'll give them something.
Exactly. I hope so too. Let's hope so.
Bro, I hope so. Like, I really hope so. Like, if there's anyone that wants to win the league, it will be them. It will be like, I hope it can happen. I'm not going to be sitting there being upset if he doesn't. I'm just being realistic. Like, and if there's any manager that can prove me wrong, he is the manager. He's probably, for me personally, he's the second best manager in the league. So I really hope so. But I've watched them. Like, I'm not just looking at results. I watched their games in details, and even when they played Brighton, I watched their game against Brighton. Brighton had a good chunk, played really well in that game. I mean, so there have been games they played. I think it was at Nottingham Forest as well. I can't remember all the games I watched them play that they have been fortunate to get away, but at the end of the day, they've got it. So, and that's what matters. But I'm just saying, with those performances, I just don't think it's just the Premier League winning performances. Like, it's not. I'm not sure whether it will be sustainable, especially because of the two teams they're going up against, now Arsenal and the City. So that's what I think.
Better question: if in January they can find a way to try and throw the kitchen sink at it, max himself up financially, do you think they should do it? in January, being like
That's a good question.
having all of this going for them, especially like you think Unai in the Europa League, like as in he's got his name on that trophy.
Yeah.
But obviously doing that means
I don't think
that
they will. Yeah, I don't think they will because they'd made that same mistake last year and they didn't make top 4 and they didn't make Champions League. So I'm not sure whether they will want to do that because that ends up leading to is them having to sell one of their top player in the summer if they don't. But I want to look. If I think they have enough to win the Europa League now, what I wouldn't do for me if I was them, I wouldn't throw the kitchen sink at them winning the league because the players are not used to that. So then like you have to have I think we have that Leicester situation is once in a 50-year or 100-year situation. Like they can prove us wrong, but I for me, I wouldn't throw the kitchen sink at it because they threw the kitchen sink at it last January and it didn't end up working. So that's the reason why I say that, and I'm not sure whether they will because of that.
Yeah,
but I think they have enough to win the Europa League with a goal.
The only thing you could say is if they do throw the kitchen sink at it, it can at least hopefully help them guarantee the Champions League at the very least, which could help with the finances and that.
Yeah, that's true.
Which does make me think that Chelsea got Champions League and they won the Club World Cup and they still did dumbness in the transfer window with all that money. So the more I think about it, the more actually it annoys me. But anyway, that's a different topic. That's crazy. How can you win the whole Club World Cup, the most expensive competition, and then we still got Brock Lesnar up top? Like, what's going on, man? Like, this is crazy.
You're showing him no respect. So that's what you guys are calling him, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, but he's took Rasmus's chain, man. Wrestler up top. He's a good player. He's a good player. I think he needs a bit more time to bed in. Like, I won't write him off, of course, but right now he's playing like he's Brock Lesnar. So like, it is what it is.
Okay, cool. All right, look, we're not going to go into Arsenal. We're not going to go into City and Arsenal game. We're just going to discuss the title race and how you both think is going to shape out. Obviously, they both won on the weekend. Arsenal beat Brighton at home. Brighton did have a couple chances towards the end. Man City narrowly beat Forest and won the greatest performance. But games like this, I don't think it really matter. Anyone that got a win this weekend, I don't think the performance matters as much because when you're coming off this busy period, you just want to get through these games and get results. That's what really matters during this period. Performances can come down the line. How do you see it shaping up? Do you think Arsenal can withhold like the pressure from City? Do you think this is a season that because they have got the experience to do it now because there will be no excuses. Not only the experience, they've got the team, they've got the squad, the depth. They spent a lot in the summer. How do you think it shapes out? I'll go with you, Saeed, first.
I think the shapes up with Aston Villa winning the league. So like no questions from me. Do you know what? Like as in Arsenal are if there was a bit more of a buffer, like as in like a couple of weeks ago, I said that I think Arsenal are going to win the league hands down. Like I still think Man City are going to drop points. Like you talked about Man City having control, like as in controlling games, but like this the most chaotic Man City I've seen in terms of teams having chance at them. Like a couple of weeks ago, that they had a game, they were like 5-1 up or 4-1 up. And they ended up, the Fulham game, right? So this is the most chaotic Man City I've seen, and teams can have a go at Man City. So I do think they're still going to drop points. Arsenal ain't looking too great either, in all honesty. Like, but they're getting their business done. They've got like many like 1-0, 2-1 wins, whatever. They've last 5 they've won 4. I still think like Arsenal will feel in control in some sense, as long as they do their business. But I just think Man City's going to drop more points, and this is why I think Aston Villa will win the league. So
I've changed my stance. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Tommy.
No, I was going to say you. Yeah, go on.
I've changed my stance to like probably the first few months of the season. I thought it was Arsenal hands down because I didn't think anybody was able to match their level of consistency. But I feel like if you look at trajectories, I feel like Arsenal started with a high trajectory and they've kind of gone down a little bit, whereas City started with a low trajectory and they've kind of gone up a bit. So with Arsenal, before they were winning games convincingly, but now it kind of seems like they're struggling a little bit and they're relying on a little bit of luck. I think probably a lot of that has gone to do with Gabriel's injury. So I think him being back probably will help them a lot. So I think they've kind of struggled to control games as much, and they've looked a little bit more shaky defensively in comparison. And obviously Gabriel in the box for corners as well, he's a huge set piece threat too. But the thing with City is this is kind of the pattern we've seen with City over previous seasons though, because they notoriously are slow starters. And what happens is Pep will change the tactics around, figure out some new mad formation, and all of a sudden they'll just go on like a mad run. And I think, okay, true, they did get a bit lucky against Forest, but Forest are a good team, to be fair. Like, I know they're in a bad position now, but like if you look at them player for player, they're a good team. But I think Pep's now all of a sudden he's starting to work out how to best fit all of his talented players together. And I think his talented players are starting to gain form. Like Cherky's right now he's doing a carry job at the moment, but he's on fire. Foden as well, his form is lit up, and Pep's found a way to get the best out of both of those guys in the system to the point where before it was a question of if Haaland's not scoring, you're not winning. Now you've got a case where Haaland's doing nothing, but there's other people to carry. But that's not what's going to always happen. You're going to get games where maybe Foden and Cherky aren't on form, but Haaland, he's going to step up as well. So I think having multiple players come on form and Pep understanding the way to tie all of these players together in the best system with his like two inverted attackers, I think it's just a pattern we've seen a lot of times with City. Pep will figure out his tactic for the season. He will change a few things, and they'll just go on a mad run. And I just feel like that pressure, that know-how, will put Arsenal under the cosh. And the thing with Arsenal, I know it's easy to say, but it's kind of a factor. Like when it comes to mentality, that's something they have struggled with when it comes to the business end of the season. And I think if City keep putting the pressure on, do you know what it is for me? I think if Arsenal have that one result and City win, I think that's when Arsenal will really crack, because I think the nervousness from the fan base and everyone will really sink into them. And I think that's where they'll fold. If Arsenal can keep their run up and City drop first, I think, okay, maybe. But if Arsenal drop points before City drop points, I think that's where you might see a mini collapse from Arsenal. I'm curious to hear what you think about that, Tommy.
Yeah, look, I picked City at the beginning of the season, and I didn't change my stance even when Arsenal was. Although I was tempted to when Arsenal had that period of form and City weren't doing well, but I was willing to see it through because I know how quick things can change. And I'm not going to change my stance. I still think it will be difficult. I don't think it will be easy, but I'm still going to stick with City. I'll see how, and the reason why is mainly because I started with them at the beginning of the season, and I've seen the form with the performance, and I do think if they can get Rodri back, I think that will solidify things a bit more for them with Rodri in the middle of the park, and those defensive laps that they were getting, or the imbalance that they get sometimes between the midfield and the defense. He's an easy solution for that. So I think having him, and I think you referred to the same about Gabriel. I think you can say the same thing about Rodri as well. Having him as ready will make a massive difference towards like the latter stage of the season. And I think you touched on it as well already that notoriously City are late starters. They are late starters. People tend to think they're playing badly or they don't look good enough to win the league at the beginning of the season. But that's just how generally they are every season, majority of the season, even seasons that they won the league. But once they do step on that gas, they're pretty hard to stop. But I think And on the flip side of that, Arsenal will already they're conscious. They will know that already. They will know what they're going up against. So I don't think they'll be phased by it. But there's one thing: being phased is just whether they can do it. That's the difference, really. Can you really put it through? And City do have Arsenal at home, so as long as they stay within close distance to Arsenal when they play them at home, if it means we'll beat them to go on top of them. So I think City's also got that in the bank as well. As long as that game can potentially give them a heads up against Arsenal, I think that game can make a difference as well. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm not going to change from City anyway. I'm gonna keep the City, but I don't think Arsenal is just going to part to the side, and I don't think they'll fall under pressure because they've been through all of that. I think the fan base will crumble because they're used to doing that anyway. You don't expect any different from Arsenal fan base, but I think the team has been in and around this for 3-4 years now, and the manager would have prepared them mentally for it. It's just more whether they can get it through or not, because it's not easy going against City. Liverpool, you tell you that. Look how many times Liverpool's gone against them, how many times the Klopp really get the best out of them. So, yeah, I think if I was going up against City, if you realise the times that Liverpool have won the league or Chelsea have won the league against City, it's never been close. It's always been like they're far ahead and City couldn't really catch up.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be going up against them when it's this close. You know what I mean? But Arsenal it's up to Arsenal to they'll be aware of that, and it's up to them to break that curse, man. So we'll see.
I guess for both teams it's simple, right? It's in both their hands, so
yeah,
in their games.
Yeah, I do think it's between both of them. I'm not with Saeed with the Villas talk.
My thing is like with City, like their midfield, like even putting Rodri back in that midfield, like it'll be what Rodri, Reinders, and Bernardo Silva in that midfield. Like that still can't seem lightweight to me compared to Arsenal midfield, compared to other midfield.
No, they played Foden in there, so they played Foden in there.
But even Foden,
Pep
has said that he had worked more defensively and stuff like that. But yeah, like as in, if you're talking about midfield, it still seems a bit light to me.
Yeah, I think that if you're saying Rodri, Reinders, and Foden,
and
or even Rodri, I don't think Arsenal's. I wouldn't look at Arsenal's one and thinking, they're way better than that. I don't see much. If anything, they're probably. I think Arsenal don't have better quality on the ball apart from like what's his name, Odegaard. He's the only real quality player on the ball. I think they're just as good. Huh?
I think I
think they're equally as good as each other. If Arsenal's best three would just be as equally as good as their best three as well. And with their thing, if anything, City's are a lot more on the front foot than Arsenal. They push forward. They want to win games. Arsenal, if you look at City has lost 4 games. They only drew 1. The only reason why they're 2 points behind is that they want to win games. Arsenal's only lost 2 games, but they're drawing a lot of games. So I mean, Arsenal will go 1-0 ahead, and it's cost them last minute of games. It could have cost them against Wolves because they're trying to see games through. City are trying to actively go for games. They're trying to win games. They don't want to draw games. So that is you can weigh it up, and it can go both ways in it. So we'll see. Because if you look at Arsenal, sometimes I don't see the point of playing Zubimendi and Rice as a pivot. Especially, imagine you're playing Wolves at home or something like that. I don't see it. Pep wouldn't do that. I don't think Pep would try to do that. Do you get what I mean? So sometimes I just don't see why you need things like that.
But I guess that's Arsenal's almost main benefit. The fact that they just have so much control over games, and it's just so hard to beat them because even if teams do score against, they only scoring like usually max 1 goal. So they can always feel confident in knowing if they just go 1 goal up, how they get the goal, and they've been getting some fortunate goals, but it doesn't matter, right? Anyhow you get it, whether it's a long throw or corner, they've just got that confidence, especially when Gabriel comes back, to know that they can hold on to that. And I think you're going to win games more consistently, in my opinion, that way than the gung-ho and then being leaky at the back as well. Because I think when you're gung-ho and you're leaky at the back, then it does rely on a lot more luck than just controlling the game and just seeing it through, in my opinion.
But
Yeah,
as I said,
but I think City have decent control of the game. I don't think they're always gung-ho. I just think they just have a disconnect between the midfield and the defense sometimes. And that's where they tend to leak goals from. And despite that, it's still not like the defensive record is not terrible. But if they're making it up for goals they've been scoring, the goal difference is still better than Arsenal despite all of that. So despite them leaking goals, they still have a better goal difference than Arsenal. And you can see what Liverpool did last season. The goals want them the league really. So it's just, and then if Arsenal are relying on goals the way you're saying to get the goals, what happens is if it doesn't come with the corner kicks, how do you break teams down? Not that they have been scoring like that recently. They have been actually breaking teams down recently, but whereas with City, that they actually break teams down. They're not going to rely. They're gonna stay patient, move the ball side to side, and actually going to break teams down. I would say at the same time they're going to concede goals, and Arsenal will not concede goals. So you got the best of both worlds to see who comes out top out of both of them. I think it will be very close, but I'm just not going to change my choice of City for now.
It'll be nice if they're still close together when they do face each other, just for that. Just to make it.
Same. I would love it to see. I would love to see a tight run towards the end of the season. I wouldn't want any of them to run away from it. That's why I'm slightly glad that Arsenal didn't run away with it. Even if they're gonna go and end up winning it, I'll still love to see a decent race, basically. Either way. Whether it's City or whether it's Arsenal that's on top, I would love to see a decent race. Either way. All right, let's quickly run through we only got a few minutes. The weekend games. Brentford beat Bournemouth 4-1. Bournemouth hasn't been in great form. Yeah, 4-1. They haven't been on great form. Brentford are 3 points away from Champions League position. Bournemouth are towards the lower end of the bottom half of the table and towards relegation battle. How do you think that we don't have time, but just a quick one. How do you think that Bournemouth ends up when Semedo goes?
I don't even think Semedo's their main problem. They changed their back four at the beginning of the season. That's what we're seeing, really and truly, isn't it? So you can never they changed the keeper as well, so even the back five. So this is what we're kind of seeing. They're gonna leak goals. But I still think that they're 10, 12 points away from relegation. They're not going to be drawn into that. Yeah, they're going to pick up points when they need to. But yeah, you're not going to see them like they were last season, basically.
Yeah, I think if you can cope with losing as many defenders as they lost, I feel like they'll find a way with Semenyo. But yeah, the form is worrying for a Bournemouth fan.
Yeah, I don't think they're 10, 12 points. Let me see how far it is. Okay, yeah, they are.
That's all 13
yeah,
or 20.
Yeah,
13, so yeah. So they're 9 points away from that. So yeah, it's fairly 9 points away. Yeah. So yeah, that should be fine anyway. I don't think they'll get drawn into it anyway. I think I highly rate a manager as well. So I think they should be fine. Burnley, Everton. Burnley is a done deal though. Don't we think? Or do you guys?
They're really they got a point.
I want Burnley to stay up, man. I actually like Scott Parker, so I'm always rooting for them.
Do you think they can do it?
I didn't say I think they can do it. I said I want them to do it. There's a difference.
They're 6 points off Nottingham Forest though. Let them do it after United, isn't it? But it's possible they can do it.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Obviously, we probably don't think so, but I do think it is possible.
Yeah, 6 points from Forest. Yeah, not too bad, but I think they'll find it tough. They'll find it tough, especially Forest is obviously still got Europa League as well. So I don't know how Forest is going to be able to manage Europa League and still fight relegation. It's going to be a tough battle. They're going to have to pick one eventually. if they're still in relegation battle. Then we have Liverpool Wolves. Liverpool obviously have won recently. I still don't think the performance has been great. They had to hang on against Wolves. They was fortunate they got the red card against Spurs. Got the red card, and they're still almost lost at the end against Spurs, and almost lost it against Wolves as well. What? How do you think they're shape up? Do you still think you reckon they can still make top 4, right? I think that would be the minimum for them with the money they spend. They can't afford to be out of the Champions League football with what they're spending in the summer.
The thing is, maybe they could do what City were doing in the sense of, okay, you're playing badly and picking up results, but hopefully, for Liverpool, they might think, okay, even though we're playing badly, hopefully those wins can start to increase the confidence in the players, right? Like Vert scored the other day. Ekitike's been getting goals. So hopefully just seeing those wins might start to think, oh, you know what? It takes the pressure off us a little bit. And then maybe the players can start coming into their own a bit. And then those wins with bad performances may end up turning into wins with slightly increasing and better performances. So that could be what ends up happening, and they could go on a little run because they do have, at the end of the day, they do have quality players, right? So when it does click,
absolutely.
it will click eventually, right? I feel like it's just a matter of when rather than if.
According to me, they don't win in the league. According to Beeb, Chelsea getting top 4, so they're not making top 4 apparently. That's what we're saying. It'll be tough for them, I think, because they're still going to have like blips along the way. They're going on a bit of a good form, so they've drawn in 1. They haven't lost any in a couple of games now, so they're still going to lose games. And Isak's going to be a miss for them as well. I feel like, as in when he scored that goal, I could see him like, okay, like he's going to start turning the ball, but obviously, he got injured, so I think that'll be a loss for them.
Cool. We were talking about West Ham earlier, about the same thing I alluded to in regards to Eddie Howe. Be careful what you wish for. Was it a season ago they decided to get rid of David Moyes? They just about stay up last season, and they're currently in a relegation battle this season. Do you think they stay up?
Yeah, they could actually go down because I guess the guaranteers you could say are Wolves and Burnley. But apart from that, the other teams are actually pretty good, you know. Like who else is there? Forest. They've got a good team. They had a slow start. Leeds are picking up form as well. So like Leeds are on inform too. And then who else is there? What, Bournemouth? Bournemouth aren't going to be. They're still like far away from there. Fulham beat West Ham as well. So I didn't realize how bad it was.
Fulham and Newcastle are Bournemouth, so Newcastle.
Newcastle is 11 points away. Newcastle 10 points away from West Ham. Bournemouth are 9 points away from them. Leeds are 7 points away from them. So I think to be honest with you, I think
they're in trouble.
My was kind of like my Premier League title winner. My relegation teams were Wolves, Burnley, and Leeds, and I'm still not going to go away from that. I think West Ham are in real danger of getting relegated. I'm going to be totally honest. They're in real danger because even the performances is not good enough when you watch them play. And they're in real danger. So if there is going to be anyone, I think it will be Leeds that they're going to be able to catch. Because the reason why I say Leeds is because Leeds is not a team they're going to pick up points every now and then, but they will still drop points. So they'll still be within reachable distance. So I think if they are going to be trying to chase anyone down, I think they should focus on Forest and Leeds. I think those are the teams. I think it will be between Forest, Leeds, and West Ham. Newcastle upwards, I think they will be fine. I think those teams will be fine. If any of those teams Bournemouth upwards, if they get themselves caught in that, they shouldn't really be in that. Let's be honest. I think it will be it will be the Leeds, Forest, and West Ham that are going to be battling for that last spot.
Leeds are cooking though. Even today, to draw against Sunderland at home, you said Sunderland are unbeaten at home. So, like, if they keep on increasing that gap, it's not like West Ham are producing performances that make you think they're going to go on a mad run as well. So they're in danger. Like, even Forest.
What you tend to get from those teams is they're going to pick up points. Those teams like these are going to pick up points in places, but they're also going to go on a run of bad forms as well. So and West Ham just when they do go on that run of bad form, West Ham's got to pick up points like that during those periods, because all it takes is for West Ham to win 2 games in a row and Leeds to lose 2 games in a row, and they're already a point behind Leeds. So, and that's what it takes, and that is possible.
And I think it's mad that, like, as in West Ham are looking to get rid of a forward, and their problem is scoring goals right now, isn't it? And when you look at how the club is run recently, like, it's mad, isn't it? So they're going down, bro. Honestly,
we'll see it. And the last couple games is we got Sunderland Leeds, which was a 1-1 draw. We've already touched on that, and then we have Palace and Spurs. Spurs is finally. They got a win away from home. Their record away from home is actually not too bad. Their real struggle is at home, so I'm not too surprised about that. Obviously, Palace, they've dipped in form recently, and this just goes back to what a lot of the managers' frustration in terms of, like, when you are playing European football, you need more depth, really, and they didn't invest. So this is expected. As much as they started the season off well, it's hard to keep that going when they've already played 30 games or so. How many games have already played this season, or even more than that? And with like limited amount of players. So it's extraordinary for you to think that they can keep that up. Whether the manager, I think the manager is going to leave in the summer. I think his decision has been made. It's just see whether they're going to invest during January or not, and see what the owners want to do.
Yeah, I agree, because even when watching the Tottenham match, I think Palace were I only watched the second half, but Palace were much better than Tottenham, and they had a lot of good chances. They just didn't have that end quality in the end to bury them and to score. So I think if they had better players, better investment, if they still had guys like Eze in the team, I think they would have beat Tottenham comfortably. Like, Tottenham didn't do anything really. They just got their goal and they just hung on, to be honest. So yeah, I think not having that investment is what's really harming Palace at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree. Cool. So that's it. I wanted us to talk about January transfer window, but we've run out of time. We've gone way past the time limit. But we can do that next week. Next week we can also do our half teams play team of the season. Half season play team of the season. And we can go in terms of like best player. We can give half season rewards out in terms of like awards, should I say, in terms of player of the season so far, and and young player of the season so far. We can discuss that next week. Is there anything else before we jump off today? Anything else to say on Eddie Howe?
What does this guy do?
We need to talk about. The reason why we didn't talk about that guy because I need a king to be here.
That's the real Brock Lesnar. That's the real Brock Lesnar. That's the real Brock Lesnar, right?
I need a king to be here for that. But look, because I actually thought he was gonna score goals, so he's proven me totally wrong. So I'm quite surprised. I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised by his form. I'm surprised.
He scored his penalty. No, that was against Everton, isn't it? Sorry,
it was against Wolves.
Yeah, he scored a penalty. Yeah. So I'm just surprised by his overall play, man. Like, and he's not gonna get any better because he's 27, 28 now, right? So, but look, we don't have time for that. We'll definitely discuss that with Akeem next week. But thanks, people. Thanks for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. turn on the notification to know whenever we upload. And what else? And just comment, man. Ask us some questions, and we answer it next week. All right, boys. Thanks for joining. Be back next week. Yeah.
Cheers, bro.
Peace.